I had my last near-death experience in 1996. I was out in Hawaii, and a friend of mine and I had kayaked out to a little Mokulua, or little island, off Lanikai Beach in Oahu. We had been cliff climbing on that little island for about probably 2 hours. We were oceanside and had stopped at an active tide pool. We crossed the tide pool, realizing that we were very high up off the ocean, boulders down below, sheer cliff. Realized that we couldn't go any further and had decided to go back, and a huge set of waves came in and literally sucked me off the side of the cliff. And what happened to me was that I found myself in a space that had no bottom and no top, and I was fighting for my life. I held my breath as long as I believe a human being could possibly hold their breath. And I had certainly practiced doing that when I was growing up. And at some point in time, I had to breathe in the water. When I breathed in the water, it was the most exquisite experience of my life. I became one with the water, and then I felt no more pain. I could see my body about 5 feet away. My body was still being torn up against the lava rock and the coral, but I was okay. And I watched my body for a long time before I found myself in a space of light, bright aqua blue. And that space had light and an exquisite sound. It was like an orchestra I can't even explain it, not like sound here on earth. Beautiful, wonderful sound. That light, bright aqua blue was, it wasn't liquid, it wasn't water, it wasn't gas. I call it the liqueur of life. It was a magnificent, fabulous space to be in. And I could have been there for 1,000,000 years or 1,000,000,000 years. I don't know. Time was not present. And from there, I found myself in a space that was similar to clouds or bubbly, but very white, bright white, but not glary white. Nothing that would hurt one's eyes if one had one's eyes. It was also not liquid, not air, not water, not anything that we know, but this beautiful white, bright, and I was a part of that. I was that. And I would have to equate the feeling there to being the same kind of feeling that you get when you're a child and you've been pushed in a swing and you go up to the top and you have that feeling of whee, but without ever wanting to come down, but just the very tippy top of that feeling and just being there forever, 1,000,000 years. And at some point in time, I thought I heard my friend call my name. And the key word is thought, because immediately I was on my way back. It was like warp speed from Star Trek. And there was motion to it. There were lights. And it was kind of a very fast rotating, and then I was back. I knew that I was back when my heart started in my chest. I could feel my heart, as it hit my chest wall, like bang, and my heart had started. I was not yet back. There was the sensation of light, and then at some point in time, what had happened is my friend on the top said later that I had been gone for about half an hour. He had searched everywhere for my body. My body was nowhere to be found. It wasn't in the tide pool. It wasn't on the boulders below. My body was nowhere, and he had gone through all the process of giving me up to God, of praying, of having guilt and remorse for taking me to that place, and then going through a process of realizing that the only thing left was to call for a sea rescue of my body. And so he had already started on his way back around the cliff when, just at the moment before he disappeared around the cliff, he said it felt like something took a hold of his shoulders and turned him around, and he felt compelled to call my name one last time. And when he did, he said my body instantaneously popped up in the tide pool, and he said I was just as serene as I could be and just as dead as I could be. It took him a little while to get back, to pull me out of the water. As he was pulling me out of the water, I caught on the side of the tide pool, which was about 4 feet deep, and I caught at the sternum level, and kind of like a Heimlich maneuver, I did what you do when you get resuscitated, and I was back. At the hospital, they called me a classic drowning, and that has all led to my ultimately finding that I had a picture of beings in the little underwater camera that was strapped to my wrist, and then essentially having to go through the process of realizing that I wasn't alone, and finding the husband that I have now through that process. And it's been quite a learning experience, and my life has been changed dramatically in the process. I practice in my clinic a lot differently today than I did before, and life is a joy.